You don't have to do a 10-minute plank. I was only
Okay,
kidding. Okay. All right, Herschel Walker is probably, he's known for a lot of things, but he's probably best known for his accomplishments on the football field. The University of Georgia, perhaps the greatest college athlete ever. He won the Heisman. Should have won 2 Heismans, and maybe not the one you won.
Yes.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do.
Okay.
I do understand
All
that.
right. NFL, he played for the Cowboys, the Vikings, well, all that stuff. But the most amazing thing about him right now is he's 53 years old. He is an undefeated MMA fighter. Here he is in his first fight.
Herschel Walker, great nudge, heavyweight action, nudge now, comes out throwing a couple of overhand rights, and immediately Walker clinches and pushes him to the fence. Nudge really putting up little fight here. Wow, the referee telling him he's about to stop the fight if he does not begin to defend himself. This is over. Herschel Walker has put away Greg Nudge, and for 47 years old, Herschel Walker proves to everyone, if you see it, you believe it, yes, you too can achieve it.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm confused why everyone always give my age.
How old are you?
Well, let's not say how old I am, because I think people use age as an excuse not to do something. And I learned a long time ago that you don't want to use excuses for not doing something. So I see guys doing things, and I say, I want to do it, and I decide I'm going to do it too. And I remember my mom at 73 once said that she wanted to play basketball with us, and I'm like, I don't want her to play on my team because she's terrible. But then later I learned, I said, wait a minute, she want to play at 73, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I felt guilty not letting her play.
On the other hand, if you let people know how old you are, it may be very inspiring to people at home who say, you know what, I can do that.
You know, I think what is inspiring is I keep telling people, you just got to keep getting up, no matter how many times you get knocked down, because it's so funny. I've always looked at the upside of my life rather than the downside, because I've had some terrible times. And I tell people all the time, everyone know my glory, but they don't know my whole story, because it gets a little bit better at the end.
Well, we tend to make you what we want you to be.
Oh, I like that.
That was the greatest football player or whatever. There are so many parts to your life, and we'll get into a couple of them here. I do want to bring this up. This DID.
Yes.
All right. DID is dissociative identity disorder. We think of it used to be called multiple
personality. Yes.
And when you came out and talked about that, and people were very confused, can you put that in context?
The way I can put it in context is you don't want Herschel Walker that was in that cage to babysit your child. So,
right.
And I said, and you see it today in football, in our military. And, you know, I treat between 4,500 to 5,000 soldiers today because of that. The guys that go on the football field, or the guy that goes in the ring or a basketball court, when they're in that zone, they're at a position that a little bit different than you want to bring to your house.
Right.
Sometimes we get it confused. We bring that anger, we bring that aggressiveness into our home, and that's not what you got to do. And it's sort of like you left home with the wrong hat on. And that's what I do with our military soldier men and women. When they go over to a downrange, they're a different position than when they come out and go into their house.
So when were you aware of that?
I was not aware of that until I got out of football. In a prime example, I was bullied as a little kid. When I was little, I was overweight. I used to have a speech impediment. I had teachers put me in the corner. They told me I was special. And, you know, all the other kids gonna say, no, Herschel, you're retarded. And I took books, I started reading, and I taught myself to overcome so much. But then when I was going to college, the coach said that I couldn't play. And, you know, all my life I heard people tell me I couldn't do things, where I made this person that can do almost anything. But then all the anger that I had, I used it as my coping mechanism. But sometimes people use a coping mechanism through drugs, alcohol, cutting. And then all of a sudden, I didn't deal with it. So when I got out of football, that anger now is going to be displayed in my home. And I said, wait a minute, something is wrong with me. And I had the intelligence then and said, I'm going to get help.
Yeah.
And I went to a hospital. A lot of people don't know I went to a hospital, and I volunteered to go, because I said, something not right. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't drink, never have.
Was there a moment you noticed that, you know, because like you said, all athletes, they're able to turn it on. They're a different person when they're out there performing.
Yes.
But they're able to turn it off.
Some of them are, and that was a problem.
There was a moment you noticed, like, I cannot shut this thing off.
Well, you know, I went into the business world. Getting out of football, you go into the business world. And going into the business world, my anger was, people not being on time. You're supposed to be on time. You're not on time. It's like, God, you can't punch CEOs in the arm. They're not used to you punching them in the arm and, slapping them on the butt. The HR get mad at you for doing that. And like, wait a minute. So you have to learn that that's not the way things are.
Let me stop you just in the interest of time. How many personalities were there?
Well, to be honest with you, I probably had over 10 different personalities. And that's why I said people didn't really understand it. And I said, you have to bring them together.
Where are they now?
Well, they're still there. I tell people all the time, just like you have personality, the way you are here is not the way you are at home. And I said, so that's a different personality. The same thing, when a guy is on the battlefield in war, that's not the way you want him to come home to be. And sometimes they get that confused. And that's what I was doing. I was getting things confused. So I said, what I have to do is I have to straighten that out. And that's what I did.
And it got really bad, so that you,
you really
dealt with it. All right, but the reason you're here today is what?
Bellator. Bellator Saturday is going to be on Spike. And Bellator is Scott Coker bringing MMA back to San Jose, California, where Scott Coker is the one that got me into fighting.
Right. Yes.
So that's the reason I'm here, is to tell people to watch Spike, because this is going to be the first time you're going to be able to see an MMA fight along with a Glory kickboxing with a ring right next to that. So you can see an MMA fight with a tournament. You're going to have a 4-man tournament, a 205, where guys are going to have to fight twice to be the winner. That means you got a tournament. Then you got Tito Ortiz getting ready to fight Liam McGarry, who Liam is a world champion. And what's strange about it, Tito is a legend, and he has challenged Liam to fight for the belt. So I said, I'm excited to watch this, because I tell you, Tito, he's a bad dude, but Liam's bad as well.
You're all in now. I mean, this is your world.
I absolutely love MMA.
When are you fighting again? You going to fight again?
I told him I would fight again. One thing people don't know, I was fighting in college. I used to play on Saturdays, go to church Sunday morning and fight Sunday afternoon. So this has been something I've been doing a long time. It's not something I just got started. I've been doing this for a while.
Yeah, it'd be hard to pick that up just late in the
game.
Like
it is hard to pick it up, but as long as you train, that's why I tell people.
Yeah, but a lot of cross athletes come into this sport and have a bad time.
Well, the reason they have a bad time, and this is one of the reasons. I was a 5th degree black belt in Taekwondo.
Okay.
But when I went into MMA, I trained for 10 months in MMA. There's no way I could have walked off the street. And I'm talking, I was a black belt in Taekwondo. No way I could have walked off the street and got into that cage and competed.
Ronda Rousey versus Floyd Mayweather. Who wins?
I really wouldn't want to see that happen, because I think Ronda is the baddest woman on the planet. And you hear me say that she's the baddest woman on the planet, and I don't think we want to mix the two. I think Floyd, for what he's doing, is the best at what he do. And I'm going to keep Ronda safe, and I'm going to say, Ronda, you continue to be what you are, because she's the baddest woman on the planet.
I think that's very well put.
Right. Bellator MMA Dynamite airs live for free tomorrow night on Spike TV.
Thank you so much.
Herschel, pleasure. Great to see you.
What a
Thank you very much.
fascinating story.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.